All right, difference makers. Hey, it's Shep here at the Eagle Ops Foundation. Welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Ops Rally Point podcast. In this series, we're going to actually do some interviews directly from one of our Vet Fest events of some of our community partners, some of the great veterans that we have in the community, and even an active duty service member that is connected with us. The primary focus of this is resources, right? Vet Fest is resources for veterans and their family. And so if you're a veteran, family member of a veteran, know a veteran that might need some resources, check out the link below. And we have two very specific links for you. One is going to our Oklahoma top 5 veteran resources. And we've also built a very unique website now that kind of tags on with that top 5 veterans resource guide. And that is okveterans.resources.com. And that is a one-stop shop for all resources across the state of Oklahoma. Guys, on this Vet Fest series, this is going to be a unique one. Ryan Bacon Nelson is going to do the interviews of all of our community partners. And of course, Ryan's a heck of a character, another Marine Corps veteran. And I hope that we get some of these outtakes out because he was having a good time. I know he had some good time with some of these community partners. But that's next up for you, and all of our interviews directly from our Vet Fest event. Ryan's going to handle that for me, and I'm out making connections and helping veterans out here at Vet Fest. And so Ryan's going to take over and do our interviews for you. So he's up next.
Hey guys, thanks for coming back with us. We're here with Cameron Hughes, our local redneck, as she says. She is community pastor here at Life.Church Broken Arrow South.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your service, kind of what you're doing with Life.Church.
Yeah, so I joined the Army when I was 17, and I enlisted fully, got through basic in 2018. So I was with the Army, and from there, I did my basic training in Fort Jackson, then went to the schoolhouse as a mechanic. So I was a 91 Charlie. Okay. So HVAC mechanic, turning wrenches. So learned all that in Virginia.
Did you like that?
No. I did, because I was the only female, actually. I was the only female mechanic. And but I had my ego so high where when we would change tires, I would change all of the tires by myself, and I'd never ask for help, and now I'm paying for it with my hips. So yeah, I did that. Everything was pretty normal, and then in 2021, I got deployed, and so I was out in the Middle East, and it was during the Kabul airport bombing, and so yeah. So my job was an HVAC mechanic, but on deployment, I worked in like the S1 shop making IDs, and I got put into like the fob. And then from there, I ended up becoming a chaplain's assistant. And I worked with the chaplain as a chaplain assistant because the chaplain assistant got injured and got sent to Germany. So that was just a really cool transition for me with the military and with my faith as well. And so my main job, instead of turning wrenches in the motor pool, became pulling refugees out of Afghanistan and into Kuwait. And that was my job. And I just remember opening prayer tents for the refugees. And we had like the white tents that you set up, and we would give them like crowns and markers. And so like they would color on the white tents, and we get in trouble. And we were like, well, if you ever look in your textbooks and see colored tents, yeah, that one was me. I'm sorry about that because I know them suckers are a lot. But it was just really cool. And at that point, that's when I we found some water in the desert, and I got baptized out there. And my now husband, he was deployed out of Fort Drum. Okay. He was reconnaissance sniper infantry unit. And so they were coming out of Afghanistan to go back home. And so we got to connect out there, and then I ended up finishing out my contract in Fort Drum.
And what year was that when you got out?
What year? I got out in 2022 and then went to reserves for the rest of it until literally last year.
Okay, very cool. So how long have you been, well, let's talk about what led you into your transition. You're not from here, obviously.
No.
So what led you in your transition here and then ultimately Life.Church?
Yeah, so my husband, again, he finished out his active duty contract at Fort Drum, and we got married, got pregnant, and so we got to this season where he was about to get mobilized again, and I we really had to sit down and figure out, do we want to raise a child with him being deployed for the first year? And honestly, the decision was like, no. And he had desires and aspirations to become a police officer, and he really only did the military to kind of build his resume in that world. And so he ended up applying for Austin Police Department, and he got the job. And so from there, he finished out our contract, and then we went to Austin and became civilians, which was super weird. It went from having this tight-knit community to we're having a newborn baby. We're going into a new city where I am from, but I lost all the connections, and everybody moved out. And so it was just really hard. And then that's when my husband was like, we need to find a church. And so he looked up online and saw Life.Church Austin had just opened.
Okay.
And so we joined. And that was the first day when we walked in. The community pastor there, we didn't know he was a community pastor either. He walked up and he said, hey, we're looking for young adults, married, no kids, to join our life group. And we were like, actually, we have a kid. She's just in the NICU right now. And they looked at each other and they said, well, bring your kid. And that night they came over and they put our nursery together. We were having life groups. We were having people pray over our daughter, bring diapers. And it was like, that's what we felt in the military that we were lacking in this transitional season. And we just looked at each other like, this is our church. So we fell in love with it, but my husband ultimately is from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And he had an opportunity to get with Sapulpa PD, and like his family's here. And so we took the risk of moving our church home to become this church home at Life.Church South Broken Arrow. And my daughter, she struggled with like physical needs. So like she couldn't walk on time. She couldn't sit on time. Her lung was collapsed when she was born. And so she had the whole get up with the helmet and all the things. And so I was a stay-at-home mom for a while. And that was a really hard transition for me because I went from high-intensity work, fast-paced job to sitting at home and all I know is how to talk like Miss Rachel. And it was crazy. And so we got really plugged in here. And then from there, my husband, once my daughter got settled and able to go to daycare, he was like, well, why don't you apply? And I was like, oh, I don't really know. And he's like, well, you did a great job, on deployment, pastoring people, loving people, caring for people. And so he was like, why not? And so I applied and I got through the whole process and somehow I ended up here still. So I got to do my internship here, my associate here, and now I get to be the lead community pastor here. So most of the time you get an internship, you get sent out, you go to all the campuses, and I'm one of the few that got to do my whole journey here at South Broken Arrow.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about how you got linked up with us, with Eagle Ops.
Yeah, so funny story. Well, as a veteran, we were still lacking that community, my husband and I, of finding veterans, especially our age, our season, in our own church. And at this time, I had just stepped into the lead role, and so I got to make a little bit more of a decision on, like, what do these events look like? How do we focus on community outreach? And I just felt the call to say we need to find a way to support our veterans in this church. And Joe Franco is a huge part of that. And so I went to him and Joe was like, well, there's this great organization called Eagle Ops. And I was like, well, I don't know them, but I know you and I trust you.
We love Joe. He tells everybody about us.
Yes, he's awesome. And so from there, we were like, well, we know veterans enough to know that they're not just going to go and jump ship to Eagle Ops. Yeah. Like, we are the ones that they have trust in. And so how can we rally the people in our church first? And then from there, go out and do outreach. And so I remember getting a couple of veterans that I trusted in the church, and we sat down in the office and we said, what do we want this event to look like? And, it can't be too kumbaya-y, but it can't be too, death by PowerPoint presentation. So there's, that middle ground. And I think we kind of found the perfect mix of opening up around the tables, having a panel, but then offering resources. And Eagle Ops was the first nonprofit that we reached out to with no incentive, no offer. We weren't giving y'all money. It was like, hey, we just need somebody and we don't have the money right now. Can y'all just come? And y'all were like, absolutely. And so it was just the passion to be there for our veterans. That's really what sold me to man, they care. They're not here for the money. They're not here for the marketing, the promotion. They're here because they care for the one. And so we had the veterans event at our church here a year ago in June, and we saw 65 veterans, and I didn't know 50 of them, you know, and I'm like, as a pastor, seeing all these new faces, and I was surprised that they even showed up, because it's hard for veterans to show up to things, and y'all know that it's not always easy. And so I'm like, 65 is probably a low number. Like, there's probably more, but they didn't come. And so that just kind of started the conversation. And in the Life.Church world, I realized that we didn't have a veteran nonprofit organization across all 45 of our locations. And so Joe and I looked at each other and were like, well, let's do it here. And so we started the conversations, and Eagle Ops was the first veteran nonprofit in the Tulsa area and across all 45 locations. And it's opened up so many resources for people in our church. And even today at Vet Fest, there's veterans that didn't come to the veteran night. They didn't come to the fire pit nights, but they came to this. And it took multiple events with Eagle Ops for them to be like, oh, wow, like, I got to file my disability claim today, and I have been waiting 10 years to do that. Yeah. And so we're just super thankful for Eagle Ops and just being there just from the beginning moments.
Yeah, one of the things that obviously through your church and your family, you understand that touch points are everything. So the more ways that we can reach out and touch people through interactions or whatever that is, it very rarely do you get one and done. Like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. We're like very skeptical of everything as veterans and everything. So
I'm guilty of that too. Yeah.
I mean, same. I mean, I didn't get into a veteran organization for 15 years after I got out. So having lots of different ways and partnerships is everything, because I mean, we can't do any of this together. So obviously we're very appreciative for our partnership here. As a female veteran getting out, you obviously were lucky enough to have that Life.Church family. As you've had more of these veterans come through in this organization, as we've built this together, those new ones who came to those events, I mean, have you talked to them, or do you have any specific advice or things that you guys, resources that you guys give that you would suggest to female veterans specifically, just in their transition out, things that you dealt with, problems or whatever? Like, how would you do it better if you were to do all that again?
Yeah,
knowing what you know.
I think it's funny because, like, even when I go to, like, events like Vet Fest, with the vendors, or even when it's going to the VA hospital, they're like, oh, what branch did your husband serve in? I'm like, no, I am the veteran, And so I think that was the biggest, like, it's not an obstacle, but, like, that was kind of like the eye-opener of, like, oh, well, I'm a female, and they don't think that I'm the one that served. Mm-hmm. So I think that was kind of the one that I had to just come to the realization of it's a little different for women, and people are surprised when I tell them I am a veteran. But it's just, that's just what it is, and that's just how life is. I think as far as the resource, like, me personally, like, it is Eagle Ops. Like, I truly think it's the fire pit nights. It's going to softball every Thursday and getting to hang out with, Rosie or the wives that are there. Because just because they're not a veteran, like, there are still women in Eagle Ops that care about me as a veteran and as a woman. And so I don't think it's always like a veteran on veteran connection. I think it's just the women that respect you and want to rally around you. And I felt that with Eagle Ops at those events.
Excellent. I often have female veterans ask me, like, hey, do you have a women's group or something like that? And we don't. And one of the main reasons that we don't is because the way I look at it, the way Shep looks at it, you're not any different than us.
Yeah.
Just it's like, oh, it's a men's only group. You're not allowed. It's just, we don't believe in the exclusion of to us. That's very
because that's what the military was.
Yeah. It's all together. Now, a lot of women, they feel comfortable and they're safe and whatever. And I say, come in, be a part of our group, our whole family, and then you meet those people, like the women that you just mentioned, and then you film your own family inside that, and then you guys do whatever you want to do together.
Yeah.
But it's not just about you. It's not just about the men or whatever. It's about you are part of our family. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're not a part of the Eagle Ops family. So we stress that we're not excluding women because we don't have a group. We want you to be a part of the whole family. We don't want you off on your own just being the women's group. We want to bring you into the whole family because we all need support from all aspects. And so I'm glad that you felt that at your events, because that's absolutely the kind of thing that we want.
Yeah. And I say, as far as like the church, like I think our biggest resource for the women, and maybe not just for veteran women, is we have one of our biggest ministries here at our church is our widows ministry. And so the lady who leads it, her name is Nita Emmons, and she's my personal mentor. Like when I have questions about being a woman or having questions about like my spiritual journey, she's the one I go to. And so she's personally someone I trust. But her husband served in Vietnam, and he passed away a few years ago from Agent Orange. And so she has created this ministry here in our church of, when he passed away, I didn't want to go to church alone. I didn't want to sit by myself. She didn't know how to, mow her lawn, do those type of things. And so she's built this ministry at our church where no woman has to sit alone. A lot of women in our church are widows because their husbands served. And so if there was ever anybody in need of like somebody helping them mow their lawn, somebody helping them do gardening, you have a vehicle issue, we have men in our church that want to serve that specific demographic. But also if there's a woman in our church that is alone because her husband passed away, especially if it is, service related, like we have a resource for that for women.
That's awesome. Very cool. I didn't even know about that. That's super cool. I just want to thank you for really, because just like you said, you started our partnership in this whole deal. So we're very grateful for you for allowing us to use your space and everything that you do for us and every other veteran that you have in your thing. Thank you so much for coming on here.
And I want to say thank you, especially for Eagle Ops, and thank Joe if he's watching this, and all the other people that helped. And Pastor Corbin had a lot to do with it, our campus pastor. And I truly have seen our church become better because people are ready to ask for help. And the fact that they're asking for help for the first time, and I've been here for 3 years, I'm just so excited to see what 5 years, 10 years down the road does, because we just open our doors and y'all step into it, and it's been a godsend. So thank y'all so much for what y'all are doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank
you. Thank you guys so much for listening in. I want to tell you guys a little bit about a new thing that we have came out, which is our community impact report. If you are interested in getting involved and helping us reach all of the veterans like we've been talking about, please click that link in the description and you can see, how can we benefit you in your community. That community impact report will show you exactly what we can do for you and how that you can help us. So please click that link below. Thank you so much.